Hey everyone, Nicholas here, and you are listening to the Hound on the Run podcast, where we discuss a wide range of topics, all centered around hound hunting, dog training, wild animals, and wild places. I gave my co-host Taylor the week off and instead invited one of my fellow Hound YouTubers to come on the podcast and have a chat with me about dog boxes. My guest today is Chris Watson from the Anecdote of a Houndsman YouTube channel. Chris is an avid hound hunter, mule skinner, and all-around resourceful guy who makes great videos showing how he lives with his animals and family in the desert of Arizona. Please go check out his channel and give him a sub. The link is in the description. Chris recently published a video about making a new dog box, and since I myself have been thinking about building a new dog box for quite a while now, I thought it would make for a great conversation. As a former scrapyard owner, Chris gave a ton of great tips for how to find dog box building materials for extremely cheap, or in many cases free. So for all you DIY hound hunters out there who might be on a budget, you definitely won't want to miss this one. For everyone out there listening to the podcast on Apple or Spotify or any of the other podcast apps, if you could, please go and leave us a review. Even if you just give us a star rating, that helps more than you could imagine. Also, I want to let you know that this is also a video podcast. So if you want to get in on the full multimedia experience, go check out Hound on the Run on YouTube or Rumble. As always, our voicemail box is open and ready for you to call in. So if you have something you would like to say and have it be featured on an upcoming episode of the podcast, go ahead and give us a call at 971-301-4884. Criticism, fact checks, hot takes on things we're talking about, funny stories that are related, all of that is welcome. We want feedback of any flavor. So again, give us a call at 971-301-4884. That's 971-301-4884. I hope you enjoy this episode. So tonight with me, I have Chris Watson of Anecdote of a Houndsman. So I wanted to bring you on tonight because, well, I've just been wanting to have you on as a fellow HoundTuber, but you built a really cool dog box recently, and I am in the process of I need to figure out a new dog box situation myself, so I figured it'd be kind of fun to get on here and talk about dog boxes.
Yeah. You know, I've drawn them out on paper before and planned it. It's never worked out for me. For one, I'm not an architect or an engineer. I just start building. This box, I used a square. I squared it, but it's not very square. It was just one of them things. I tore my other dog box off, if you watch my video, and my support braces had fell. My tailgate was floppy on it. I was pulling off my truck, and the one hinge had broke, so the door pulled off. So I said, I'm just gonna build another one. And I used to own a scrapyard, so I didn't throw away bed frames. What a lot of people don't know is bed frames it's rebar. Basically, it's rebar. And what rebar is every junk metal in the world goes to the rebar plant. Anything under 3 foot, and they smelter it down, and that's what rebar is. Every metal you can get. So
interesting. And So I don't know hardly anything about metal, but is that carbon steel?
It's every bit of steel. It's everything. Car frames, engines, when they bring in the truck, it's just most of it's shredded metal.
Okay.
Most of it's 3 foot under. It's real small pieces.
Gotcha.
They put in this big boiler. The one down here, I actually did work on one. That's how I know so much. And T-post, Finch T-post.
Yeah.
Same thing. Same metal.
Huh.
one plant, like the plant here don't make the bed frames, but that's why when you're working with bed frames, the only bad thing about bed frames, besides you can get them free down any alleyway usually,
Yeah.
is sometimes it'll drill, sometimes it won't. So
Oh, okay.
sometimes there's hard spots, sometimes there's not hard spots.
Gotcha. They're
It's
not
really
making it to a very high spec or anything. They're just kind of
you
dumping
know most of
everything in and squirting it out.
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's hard metal, so the bed frames and rebar usually goes into concrete, and then your T post. There's no
Yeah.
structural on a T post, but it's you could go to any scrapyard anywhere, and they'll
Hmm.
have piles of bed frames laying there, and they'll sell them to you for $1 a piece.
Dang.
So
Okay.
it's cheaper than steel. But
Huh.
that whole dog box, I was a bad. I wasn't a very good scrap guy
Oh, okay.
because I brought most of my stuff home. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
kind of like being a baker and taking home all your pies, huh?
yeah, yep. If
That's
you seen
funny.
my yard, my wife gets kind of embarrassed if people come over, but people come over and they're like, dang, oh, what is that? It's a guy thing maybe to have a junk. What's that old saying? Another someone's junk trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah.
So, but that's a cheap way to do it. Bed frames, and they're not extremely heavy. You know,
Gotcha. It's
so
just kind of like angle iron, right?
that's all it is.
Yeah.
Inch
Huh.
and a half, inch and a half. Yeah,
Okay. So
mostly.
how long how many years did you get out of that last dog box?
I had it on my 2015 Tundra.
Okay.
So, and that wasn't bed frame. That I tried a lighter metal
Hmm.
that I got off a job, some framing stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it worked really well. It was just a little softer,
Okay.
and I tried to build it light. I try to, but
Yeah.
they're always heavy, you know, unless
Okay.
you
Well,
want to spend money and get an aluminum box. But
right.
if you see
Those are
my
crazy
video, you see
expensive.
people, it just to me they fall apart. I see a lot of aluminum
Oh, okay.
boxes and they fall apart. But
Gotcha. Okay, well, I have a
and
lot. We're going to talk a lot more about dog boxes. I have a lot more questions for you, but real quick, can you tell everybody what your YouTube channel is all about?
I started it. My goal on it is to just it's just a normal houndsman. Like Brett, he gets to talk to those old fellas that just give you tons of knowledge, and
Yeah.
you know when he does those interviews, and that's all the people everybody knows. Everybody
Yep.
knows Dale Lee, and everybody knows Ben Lilly, and everybody knows all the big. I want to do interviews with. That's kind of why I started. Is for interviews. I just haven't
Okay.
got to that point yet.
Sure. Sure.
YouTube. Everybody wants to start a YouTube, and I say, well, it's not that easy. It's not just throw videos up. I mean, you
Right.
can,
Yeah.
but it's a. So I want to do interviews. I want to do like a campfire style interviews. So I want to go hit some people's camps at night
Cool.
and just do some campfire interviews with just low grade. I'll say,
Yeah.
under the table houndsmen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because those guys can give you just as much information as the old guys, and with today, it's totally different from, I had a guy say that he used to, when a dog would trash, they'd rope him and hang him from a tree,
Oh my
you
God.
know,
Yeah.
like lift them up off the ground. And it was really old school. And they didn't have shock collars. And people think shock collars are kind of bad, but
Compared to the
it,
old-fashioned ways, it's pretty humane if
yeah,
you ask me.
it beats the alternative, and I've been shocked. We've all
Yep.
shocked our friends, and I've put shock collars on people's ankles when they're sleeping and they live. So, you know, but that was my goal, is to kind of bring forward the little guys. That's kind of what I do, and then just kind of
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
people what like a hound isn't a houndsman is. It's not just a 12-15 minute video where you let a dog out, truck the tree. I'm not
Yep.
saying there. I haven't been on some of those chases. I've been on chases that are 10 minutes,
Yep.
but very rare. I wanted to show people that I didn't get to go riding this weekend because I had to build a dog box. you know.
Right, right, right.
And I would probably say 90% of your houndsmen are broke.
I would say
You know,
so. Yep. It's an expensive hobby. You might not be
it is
broke, but you're probably a little
dog broke.
strapped for cash because of
Yeah.
all the money you have to invest in the dogs. I mean, it really every little thing
Oh,
adds up so fast.
I spend probably $100 a week on dog food, and then
Yep.
I just bought hay, and I get
Mhm.
mine cheaper than most everybody else, and
Okay.
I just dropped $1,000 on that.
Damn.
So
Crazy.
I spend probably, and I'm kind of low grade nothing, and I spend about 8 grand a year just on dogs and uh,
Yeah.
my horses.
I believe it.
So
So, okay,
so
so you live in Arizona, correct?
yeah,
And you
North
sounds like
Arizona.
so you split your time between South Arizona and North Arizona?
I like to hunt down here in the winter in the South Arizona, and I
Okay.
hunt some kind of stupid spots for a houndsman to hunt.
Okay.
I've had the biologist tell me like you're not going to catch them down there, and he's
Hmm.
pretty close to being accurate on that. And I've caught I've almost caught a line down here. I've had them treed and just came up and it just smoked us. And I get
Okay.
all that good Atoya
Huh.
cactus. That's no fun, but so I like to be down here in the winter. I always say the desert's like a mistress in the winter. But it's like a
Okay.
beautiful girl mistress, and then when you get married to them, they kind of turn into a hag sometimes, and that's the summer. So, so then I go back up north. I take my animals up north. It's just too hot to run down here. It's 108
Right.
degrees right now.
Yeah, that's
And at
crazy.
7:30 this morning, it was 80 degrees. So,
Wow.
yeah.
And so you do a lot of hunting off of mules, right? Mules or horses?
Mules. Yeah,
Mules.
most of it's
Okay.
off mules. I got a couple res horses. So,
What do you mean?
but
What is that?
the reservation, Indian
Okay.
reservation.
Okay.
So
Is that
to
Navajo
me,
Nation?
that's where mine are from. I have
Okay.
one Persian. My son has a Persian Mustang, and then I
Hmm.
have a Navajo Mustang, and then I have a BLM Mustang as well.
And
So
those are wild horses that you, right?
yeah,
Are they fully wild?
the one I got, someone owed me some money, and I got her when she was 4 years old, so she wasn't
Oh,
exactly
okay.
broke, but and then
Gotcha.
we had quite a few babies out of her with that Persian Mustang, and
Hmm.
they're like, it was just a really good line I had. You didn't have to break them much. You literally could throw a
Okay.
saddle on them, and
Hmm.
we would keep them out on pasture for 2 years when they were born, and then bring them in, geld them, and then kind of work with them while they right after we gelded them. So we'd be riding them probably within a couple weeks. It was just a good
Okay.
line, very docile.
Wow. But
So
so it, man, now I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole of asking you questions about res horses, but maybe we'll have to save
you
that
could,
for another podcast. But
yeah.
what do you mean
There's
by
just a lot
gelt?
more.
I'm a I actually grew up with horses, but we moved off of that property when I was like 6 years old. So I don't really remember anything. I used to like riding them, but I don't know anything
Yeah,
about horses. Is gelding, is that basically like fixing them,
yeah, you
castrate
flip
them?
them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
yeah. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Cool. One thing I really like about your channel is that you do show just kind of like the everyday kind of stuff. Like you have that one video where you're just kind of hanging out around your yard, feeding and watering your dogs, and I love that
Uh,
stuff. I like seeing how other houndsmen kind of run their little operation,
yeah.
because it's there's
No,
so it's so personal to each it's so unique to each person how you do things.
and and if you're new to like, I've took clients out and they want to get dogs. I have a guy who
Yeah.
did that, and I
Okay.
said, no,
Yeah.
you don't. And the probably I don't know if you've experienced it yet, but you'll have a dog barking, and you're like, hey, shut up, Susie, and they're like, how do you know that's Susie? Or how do you know the dogs? Like, you learn
Yeah.
them. And he's like, man, I could never do that. Well, he got into dogs and
Uh-huh.
he learned real quick that you can differentiate the dog's barks, the tones.
Oh
So,
yeah, definitely.
but I told him, don't get dogs. You have someone that has dogs, just go along with them, and they all get dogs. And later
Yep.
they're like, yeah. I said, yeah. You know, when you're with the houndsman and they rig a bear, because I run around and rig too off my
Yeah.
truck.
Yep.
But when you rig a bear and you drop it, and in 30 minutes you got a bear in the tree, it's easy.
Yep.
Looks easy.
Yeah.
All my dogs listen to me. It looks really easy, you know. And then when people get in the dogs, I think it takes a certain person, you know. You
Yeah.
have to have a lot of patience, and you have to, no matter how bad you hate your dog, sometimes you have to be a dog lover.
Yep.
So,
It's very true. Yep. You gotta have a lot of patience.
yeah. But
All right. So tell me, I want to talk about the dog box you built, but I'm, how long have you had hounds and how long have you been hunting with hounds?
I got hooked up with a guy, kind of like your mentor. I had a guy,
Yeah.
and this was before there was no shot collar. This was back in 90s, like mid 90s, and he gave me some Bam Bam walkers, and they
Okay.
were great dogs. And he gave me a couple older dogs, He's like, and I went with them. We went coon hunting, and we just ran everything. And then I was in it for a couple years back in the 90s, and then I went through a divorce, so I
Mm.
got rid of a lot of stuff. Like
Okay.
literally, I took my saddle, I took my frying pan, I lived in a truck, just because I was angry in life for a little while. And
All right.
so then I got out of it for a little while, and then about 2005, I ended up with a couple dogs, kind of by accident. But I was like, well, I'll start running them.
Yeah.
So I've been in it since 2005.
Okay, man.
Full, yeah,
So,
no GPS. I didn't have
right.
no shot collar. I'm just out running. So,
Yep, man. So you've probably had quite at least more than a couple dog boxes in your day.
oh, I've built so many dog boxes. I started in 2005. That's all I had was a 3/4 ton truck,
Okay.
so flatbed, and
Mm.
I had a Suburban. So I built dog boxes that would sit side by side in my truck, where I could still pull a gooseneck horse trailer. I
Okay.
have like a 30-foot horse trailer that I
Wow.
literally paid $100 for. So
Nice.
yeah, scrap. But it would fit in my Suburban too. But my dogs were so good that I could just put them all in my Suburban, drop the back seat, and we'd be good. And then we had
Okay.
one female lift her leg and pee in that truck. And ever since then, those males would jump
Oh
in there.
man.
So I had to keep them in boxes. Yeah, but
Oh
that's how we
boy.
started. Our first bear was I was hunting lions, and me and my buddy were. I'll interview him one day. But we were running around. We seen a bear track, and I got out and I checked it, and I was like, man, that's a fresh track,
Hmm.
And it was. I used to teach people to track for the Pinal County Sheriff's Office,
Oh, no
and
kidding.
yeah, the
Huh.
border patrol, like we taught them all on a man track. I'm like,
Wow.
man, that's fresh. I'm gonna say 10 minutes, but it's probably I'll say 30. And I did a big circle. Dogs didn't want to do nothing. We drive up the road. I look over at my buddy and I say, hey, I wish that bear just run across the road so our dogs would just see it.
Yeah, yeah.
And about 10 seconds later, that bear run across the road.
Dang.
And
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
with some kind of vulgar language. We're like, there he is. And
Yeah.
my friend looks at me like, shut the F up, And I was right there. And we let the dogs out and they stood around. And then finally one of them's like, oh, and they
Hmm.
took off and we freed that bear within a quarter mile. And that's how we started hunting bear.
Man.
So,
Yeah, that'll get you hooked.
yep, yep.
That's awesome.
So
Okay.
that was
So
2000.
so tell me about your very first dog box.
What
Well, I
was
guess
my?
it was a Suburban.
That was That was those two little dog boxes.
Okay.
And I don't even have them anymore because I've given them to people who got into dogs.
Yeah.
So I'm like, here's a dog box. I'll slide in your truck. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Were those made out of wood or metal?
Shelving angle.
Okay.
Like if you've seen like shelving in stores and they got that little angle,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
had a bunch of that. We
Uh-huh.
had a bunch of that off a job, and I framed up a box and just used plywood and
Okay.
built a couple doors. So
Nice.
yeah, it was all scrap too.
Nice.
I don't think I've ever built a dog box that I've had to buy a whole lot of stuff for it.
Okay, so
Latches.
that probably answers my question. Have you ever just bought a commercially made dog box?
No,
No.
no, I don't think I really could. You know, and I'm not even done with mine yet.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be another video because I'm going to build some compartments in it.
What do you mean?
Um, so on my old dog box, if you look, I had like this little drop where I put all my stuff.
Oh,
Well, this
right. Okay.
time, yeah, this time I'm building it inside of my dog box up high. So
Okay.
I'll be able to access from the
Like for
side.
collars and stuff, like for gear.
Get collars,
Nice.
whatever chains, tie down, everything. So
Okay, how many dogs do you usually take hunting with you? Like how many dogs do you put in your dog box?
I've had I've had 16 dogs in a dog
Oh,
box.
really?
Yeah, and it don't hurt them if you got
No, no.
knowing who you hunt with. And I personally have, I think I don't even know how many I have. Maybe 18 dogs right now. I got 2 litters of puppies, so
Yeah, yeah.
I got
That
quite a few.
that
But when
pads
I
the
when I
numbers a little
go,
bit.
yeah, I don't. I have a couple dogs that they're older now. I have one of my almost original lines that I started with. So my dirty dog is one of that original line, and I've brought in some other lines. But I usually take them all.
Okay.
I
Nice.
I usually have at least 10 dogs when I go, but then I'll alternate them as I'm running, depending on how hard we're running.
So you have your dog box needs to be pretty big then. All right, and now from the video, it looks like you've got what do they call it? Like an on the rail style, like a
It's a
topper.
rig rack. I call it a rig rack.
No, but I mean like you don't have it's not a dog box with sides. It like
Oh
sits on top of your
yeah.
bed rails and your bed becomes the dog box kind of.
Well yeah, I call that a coffin box.
Oh, okay.
Is what I call it. The slide in and out. I almost
Oh,
built one
slide.
like that
Yeah.
just so it'd be easier to unload. But I honestly, out of a year, there might be three or three or maybe 4 times I might unload that dog box for a couple days. That
Gotcha.
dog box stays in my truck.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
bought the truck for hunting.
Right. And it's a Toyota Tundra?
Yeah, you
Nice.
know I get a lot of grief for buying them and then 2 weeks later
Trashing
having
them.
so many pinstripes on it. Yeah,
That's
I
just how it
dented it the
goes.
first. It is. I use
What are you
it for
gonna
hunting.
do?
So
Listen, I've gone hunting. I've gone out with some people who like we have thick brush here, and the
yeah,
little roads we're driving down, like a lot of times, like they're choked in, like you're driving through bushes. It's so funny to me when I'm with somebody and they don't want to go down those roads because it's gonna scratch up their truck. I'm like, dude, well then what are we can't hunt then. Like
yeah.
that's what
I
I
took
like
a
about.
client out
Oh yeah.
2 weeks after I had that truck, and he's like, "How old is this truck?" I'm like, "I got it 2 weeks ago." And he's like, "You're like going down a quad trail." I'm like, I didn't. I said if I wanted something to sit in my garage, I'd buy me a Hellcat or something. I
Yeah.
said I didn't,
Yeah.
so
So yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so I think you've seen it in my videos, my little Nissan hardbody.
yep.
I love that little thing, but it has no space for anything. It's tiny. So
I have a 1980 Toyota,
yeah, that's what I was
and
gonna say. I loved your video where you did a little walkthrough of that old Toyota.
yeah,
That thing is awesome.
Yeah. You know, if one person asks me to do something, I'll do it. If 1,000 don't like it, then don't watch it. You know what I mean? But
Right.
I've had a lot of people ask me about that truck, and I built same thing. I built that. So I had a regular bed on that, and I think
Okay.
I don't. I have a. I made a TikTok video. I think about uh, when I pulled that bed off, and that bed that I put on there is all scrap too.
Okay.
So
Nice.
yeah, yeah. But so I built that dog box on there as well, and that's I call that my puppy box because I
Okay.
have cages on the side that I can shut
Mm.
that the
So
puppies
they can't climb
can't
out.
get out. Yeah,
Gotcha. That's it. You know what? It's funny. I was thinking. So basically, where I'm at is my little Nissan. The dog box I have right now. I'm actually borrowing it. It's not. I don't even. It's not even mine. My mentor's letting me borrow it, and he got it from his brother-in-law, who got. He's the guy who got him into hounds, and he has like he that's kind of where his line of dogs comes from, is from his brother-in-law. And his brother-in-law, he hunted out of the exact same truck that I hunt. I mean, not the same one, the same model.
yeah.
So he actually had this dog
Right
box
on.
built. He had somebody build it. It's really nice. It's all aluminum, but he had it built for my exact model of truck. Like, it was amazing how it worked out. So
Yeah,
what it's pretty cool. It's not as big as I need a bigger dog box. I can barely fit my dogs in it. But
yeah.
it has like these
That's a puppy
flaps
box.
on the side that cover the holes, and then they
Hmm.
flap down and they rest on the bed rails. I don't know, it's just kind
Yeah,
of, it's pretty slick how it works out. But
yeah. I've had them. I've built people dog boxes where they raise up and
yeah,
latch on the rig rack.
yep, that would
You
work
know.
too. But yeah, so I have more dogs than my dog box will fit. So I'm thinking about doing like a on the rail kind of.
Full frame.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
Do you
um
take that out? You know, is that your hunting truck?
yeah, oh yeah, full, yeah.
So it don't come out.
No, I never take it out, no.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll use it if I have to like take stuff to the dump or whatever. I'll take it out, but
yeah.
no, it stays in.
Well, I'll have to build you one.
I mean,
Um,
I would take you up on the help for building one, but it's a little bit of a drive, I would say.
how far? I wonder how far you are from Walker, California.
Walker, California? Huh,
I
I don't
might go
know.
visit my cousin up there.
Oh yeah?
Hmm.
Let's see. Let's look on the map. Yeah, I think it's at least 1,000 miles to Arizona, right?
It probably is from you.
Walker, California. Yeah, that's pretty damn far.
Is it far from you? It probably is, because I think you're above.
Eh,
It's right on the border of Vegas or Nevada.
yeah. Don't worry, I'll edit
Either
out the
that, or you
dead space.
have to come out here and hunt some bears.
I really want to. It's 574 miles to Walker.
Yeah, I think it's the same to here. 500 miles to there.
Okay. Huh. Man, I would love to come down there and hunt bears with you. That would be incredible. We'll have to make that happen.
It starts in August.
Okay.
You got about a month in August, and then it kicks back up in October,
Nice.
and it stays open into the year as long as the quota stays good.
Gotcha.
So,
Huh.
yep.
All those quotas are, that sounds like it gets pretty complicated. Like keeping up
Um,
on it.
that's a good rabbit hole right there because
Yeah.
you get a lot of guides that I'm really kind of. I'm not saying I haven't killed females before, but I'm real picky about what I kill, and
Okay.
I've seen some guides kill some 120 pound, 140 pound bears, and I typically don't try to kill little bears or sows.
Yeah.
You know, I passed. I had a one-legged lady with me, and we walked her up this hill, and it was a sow, and it was probably a big enough, old enough sow we could have killed it. I should have let her kill it, but I don't
Didn't
know.
want. Yeah.
I like
I hear
hunting.
you.
I like to hunt year. Yeah.
For sure.
So
Well, the mama bears are the bear factories, right?
yeah, and there's a lot of people that just want that money.
Mm.
I could list 10 of them right now. Some of them aren't even in Arizona. They're not even
Oh, really?
Arizona people.
Coming from out
Yeah.
of state. Hmm.
Yep. Yep.
Do you guys have a pretty good bear population there?
Um, some years it's not
Oh, yeah.
bad.
Does it
Some years you
fluctuate a
do
lot?
real good. Last year we didn't do very good at all,
Hmm.
and I that's a lot of rabbit holes you could go down, but
Yep.
they can bait on the reservation,
Okay.
and I personally, in my opinion, believe that them bears will stay down there. Why not stay down where there's free food and have to
Sure.
go forward?
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then last year was pretty bad. It
Huh.
wasn't great. When you go to like 20 bears a year, 30 bears, and then you're down to five, like just because they're just not moving.
Mm.
But if there's water and grass, they'll stay in them canyons, and you have to, if you're just rigging, you're not gonna. And I just didn't have enough time to go out last year. I was just rigging.
Oh, okay.
But you start cutting canyons, you'll get them out of there.
Cutting
But
canyons
it's
meaning
decent.
like go hike down into those canyons or with your mule go
Right?
down into those?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because I've seen people circle a mountain, and then I come in and free cast, let
Yeah.
them go in there, and I've caught in bear after they've rigged, and they
Okay.
didn't get nothing. They
Hmm.
don't cross the road. They don't leave scent.
Gotcha.
So.
Yep.
But most of those guys, when you're rigging, you're kind of in a hurry to.
Yeah.
You're trying to find the hottest one, And
Right.
I'm no different. I don't want to cold trail a bear because that thing could be 20 miles away. You
Right.
know.
Well, and bears
So
are. Do bears want, like, if they are moving through the brush, like they leave a good amount of scent behind, or no?
they're stinky.
So like so so like a bobcat like leaves hardly any scent behind. So if the dog can cold trail it even a little bit, it's kind of worth letting them try it because they might
Yeah.
not be that far behind. But I could like bears, they cover so much ground, and if they are leaving more scent behind, yeah, like you're saying, they could be like the next county over, right? I mean,
Oh yeah. I've struck hot bears and let down, and I've chased them 12 miles,
yeah,
and that's
wow,
in minutes. That's
damn,
minutes.
yeah,
I've dropped like close. I've dropped 2 miles from the res, and I've been in 8 miles on the res getting my dogs.
oh boy,
So reservation,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
don't want to get caught on the res. You don't want to get caught on the res.
I
You
thought you could
know,
hunt the res.
you have to have permission to hunt the res.
Okay,
So a lot of those guides, they have their permits to hunt on the res.
okay.
So
Or you can,
yeah, you can.
because I saw like, I think like the Houndsman XP, they did, they did like some like wounded warrior hunt on the Navajo
Yeah.
reservation.
Oh yeah. There's a couple guys up there,
But
res hounds.
yeah, res hounds. Yeah,
Mhm.
that guy. Did you see his video of the bear and the lion in the tree?
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yep. So
Is
no, you
so
can.
how far? So where you? So you live close to that reservation then?
Yeah, I do. I live
Okay.
about where I hunt. I live about 20 minutes from where I hunt, the closest
Oh,
area to hunt.
nice. Man, that's
So,
nice.
but a lot of the area. There's one road that runs there where you're only literally, I think, 600 yards, even closer to the reservation. And
Gotcha.
with a bear,
That's
600
nothing.
yards is a hop, skip, and a jump.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
I've heard a lot of stories of people having to go on I've done it. I've hit that. I couldn't drive around, so I'd have to go to the fence and
Yeah.
walk out and try to get my dogs,
Yeah. I
fast as
mean,
you can.
yeah, we run into similar problems here because like all the areas I hunt are, it's a mix of timberland, national forest, state forest, BLM, and then tons of
Yeah,
private timberland. And
yeah,
some of the timber companies, it's open. They're totally fine with hunters accessing their property. Some of them are definitely not, and some of them they will have like permit. They do permit systems. Like
Yeah.
Weyerhaeuser, most of their land you have to buy a permit to go and hunt on. And
Yeah.
they're big chunks of property. Like, yeah, you definitely don't want your dogs ending up on those properties. But I don't hunt in this area, but over east of here, there's a huge, I think it's a Grand Ronde Indian reservation, or the White the White River. I don't know. There's some big Indian reservations out here too, and it's the same thing. Like you cannot you definitely don't want to be caught on that land. Um,
Yeah. You know, I've
but
heard
it's
some
like, what can
stories
you
from the
do if
old
they
days.
end up over there? You know.
Well, I've heard some stories from the old days where the reservation ranger would catch your dogs up
Mm-hmm.
and make you bring them $250.
Oh, yeah.
So
There
you'd
you
have
go.
to go get money and bring it. This is old school, 20, 30 years ago, and make them bring you money to get your dogs back. So
Yeah, that's no good.
it's no fun.
So, okay, you are in the desert pretty much, right? Like, it is straight up desert.
Uh, Down south, it's straight desert. Up north, it's kind of high desert, and then I can get in.
Okay.
The reason I like up north is you can go 20 minutes one way, being desert, 20 minutes the other way, being forest.
Okay.
So it's really diverse up there.
Okay. Tying this back to the dog box topic. Um, for me here, like, and especially in hunting season, it's just constantly raining. Like, you don't dry out until July, basically. Do you have to it sounds like it's pretty dry down there. Do you have to deal with rain and all that?
In the desert, no, not in the winter, but up
Okay.
north, once
Yeah.
it August, sometimes it's not as bad as it's not as good as you guys get it over there. Everybody in Oregon and Washington are like, you get those Seattle or Portland people, they're whining about the rain, and we're like, yeah, we'll take
We'll
every bit
take
of
it.
it.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
that bad. We've had some rainy years,
Mm-hmm.
so, but I think our worst is the snow. When we get
Okay.
some good snow years, it can get
Yeah.
pretty bad.
So, but you're built like your box, it's made out of that bed frame, and that's just steel. So, do you have to worry about it rusting?
Yeah,
It's just
I
not
mean,
really.
it's all gonna. I get some Rust-Oleum, I spray it down,
Oh,
and then
okay. Okay. Gotcha.
yeah. So,
Gotcha.
but yeah, I mean, the other stuff I used on my old dog box was all galvanized, so
Oh,
that was kind of nice. Yeah.
can you? So, I actually had somebody gave me a whole bunch of fence posts, and I was gonna, on my first dog box, it was crappy in wood, but I needed to build like a rig rail for it, and I was gonna get
hmm
my friend to weld these like galvanized fence posts, but he said he couldn't weld galvanized. Is that true?
You no, well, galvanized puts off a gas,
So it
so it's
gets you a
not
little
good.
high.
They say if you get sick, you drink milk or something.
Oh,
I've never been sick off it,
uh-huh.
and I've welded a lot of galvanized, like my last box.
Uh-huh.
But as long as it's ventilated, I got a big
Gotcha.
shop. I'm sure if you're welding in a bathroom, it's not going to be good for you. But
Right. So use common
no, you
sense.
can weld.
Copy.
And I would usually grind it first. That way it just welds better.
Oh, sure.
That's another thing. The probably the when I get good steel
Mm-hmm.
and I weld on good steel, it welds like butter. I'm like, oh
Right.
my gosh. When you're messing with rusted stuff and old stuff, you're always grinding a spot to weld, or the bed
Yeah.
frames usually got a paint coating on them.
Hmm.
So that's probably the drawback. But
It's like
the
the
price makes
trade-off is there's more prep work and everything, but it's free.
yeah, yep, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, free or dang near cheap enough to be free.
Yeah.
Like I said, hit the scrap yards, hit the
Yeah,
scrap yards.
we've got one place here in town called Cherry City Metals, and I've only gone there a couple times, but man, I just love going and walking around and looking at all the possibilities.
Oh, and if you go tell that guy, hey, can you save me some bed frames? They'll
Uh-huh.
have a pile for you,
Yeah.
guaranteed.
Yeah, they
So
have because I was looking at because I do want to make one out of aluminum just because it's because I don't have to worry about
light it.
rusting out and it's lighter. Um, they had these. What really caught my eye is they had this huge stack of like traffic sign blanks.
Oh
So
yeah.
they were like between like 3x3 and 4x4. I was like, man, those
Yeah.
would make um
Yeah.
perfect dog box
If you
panels.
if you look on my video, if I'm at my shop, you'll see
Yeah,
them all on my on my
your street
shop. All
signs.
those roads. Yeah, yeah. We kept
I
all those
saw
too, just
Nice.
decoration.
I saw someone, I think it was on Instagram, they built a dog box just completely out of street signs. It actually looked pretty cool. Like it was on a
Oh, you,
flatbed. It looked
yeah.
pretty
Turn them inside.
it looked like art deco kind of, it looked like an art
Oh, he
project.
used the actual sign. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he had
Yep.
this had him facing out. I don't
Oh,
know,
that's
looked kind
cool.
of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, if you did it right.
Have you ever I know so this style is pretty popular in like California for whatever reason. Have you seen these? They're like a camper, like a truck camper with a dog box built in underneath it. Have you seen
Yeah,
those?
I've noticed a lot of people are doing that
Yeah.
lately, but I don't know. I don't know how hot that would get up here because it still gets warm up here
Right.
during the day, even
Yeah.
up in Sholo, where I'm at.
Sure.
I'm at 6,000 feet, but even
Yeah.
then it gets a little warm, you know.
Right. Yeah, and so like
But
yours you
usually
got all the ventilation you could ever want, right?
I do, and then what I did different on this one is I used conveyor belt, and all
Mm.
my kids kind of make fun of me because
Yeah.
I use conveyor belt on everything. You know, you get those, you get an ice chest, right? And
Yep.
what breaks on? The hinges always break on them ice chests.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I cut a piece of that conveyor belt and I'll make hinges out of it, and they will last 100 years.
I bet.
100 years.
So
So they
conveyor
always make
belt,
fun.
does that have
What is
like
it?
is it like reinforced with steel or something, or is it just like super heavy duty rubber?
It's like a PVC that has.
Okay.
It's like those collars. It's like a dog collar.
Okay.
That like the night
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
have
I know what you
the
mean.
rope inside with the coating of. So that's kind of
Yeah.
interwoven with
Oh,
the
okay.
PVC and it's
Huh.
super. I build my dog barrels out of them too. I'll
Okay.
take. I have a template for a 55-gallon barrel,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'll cut a circle and I'll cut the dog barrel out,
Mm-hmm.
and then that I'll screw that and then cut a door in it.
Okay.
Works
Nice.
perfect. They don't chew on it. Even if they did, it's tough.
Where do you get conveyor belt?
I used to do work at some mills, and I know
Okay.
people at like mills. If you got them up there, you go to hit those
Yeah.
logging mills or those
Yeah, yeah.
them logging mills. They all got conveyor belt laying around.
Okay.
You know, and they got so much they throw it away.
Gotcha. That's
That stuff's
interesting.
just great. It's great for everything.
And is it
So
do the so you okay, so if I remember from your video that you basically that's like the that's like your back wall with the doors on it, right?
yes,
Okay.
yep. I usually
Nice.
use wood on that, but this time I'm like, I'm gonna try this
Well, that'll
conveyor
probably hold
belt.
up better, right?
Oh, I think it will. I do.
Hmm.
So and then I screw through it all the way through, and then I cut the screws off on the outside so you don't see
Oh yeah. Gotcha. Hmm.
them. So no, I like it. I think I really and it probably knocked off 20 pounds.
Oh,
You
really?
know. Oh yeah,
Huh. Is it hard
yeah.
to
It's soft.
cut? Because it's pretty thick, right?
I cut it with a razor knife.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Hmm.
but even with when I'm making those dog barrels, I
Yeah.
have a 4-inch grinder with a cutoff
Mm-hmm.
wheel, and it smokes. But it's what I use for that.
Okay. Yeah,
Just a
I
4-inch grinder.
I made some it didn't work out very I built these kennels in my because I have like a so my dogs live in my garage. I built kennels like half of
Yeah,
I have a 2-car garage, but it's really an 8 hound 1-car garage. So I got I got
yeah,
all my dogs on one side. But I've changed it up a lot, but I at first the kennels were big enough that each one had a blue barrel in it, and then I didn't have enough room to cut the hole on the end of the barrel, so I cut it into
yeah.
the side for them to get into. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah.
It didn't work out very well. The dogs didn't like being in them for whatever reason. But um yeah, I used a grind like an angle grinder to cut that and it
Yeah,
smoked like crazy.
yeah. I use a sawzall to cut the barrels.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
That probably would have been a better choice.
Yeah,
I'm
you know, and
I try hard. I don't have a lot of building skills, I'll be honest.
yeah,
But I like to think through things and I try my hardest. But
A for
experience
effort.
people who are experienced at building things would probably just die laughing at the things I do. But I don't care.
You know, that's what I like about you though, because you're like a new hound guy, and you just, you know, most of these hound guys today, they've been in it 30 years. They couldn't write a book. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You know, and if they were in it for 2 or 3 or 5 years, they wouldn't even try because your typical hound guy, your stereotypical hound guy, is a rough, bearded. You know, I was in Walmart one time, and a guy came up to me. I have a cowboy hat, my old one, and it just kind of shrunk, and I always wore it crooked. So
Okay.
if you look inside, it was shaped crooked. So it always kind of set crooked on my head. And he come up to me and goes, "You look like a hound guy." I'm like, "What?" I
Guilty.
said, I did. Matter of fact, you kind of hit that one on the head. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, but
That's
it's
funny.
different these days, though. It really
For
is.
sure.
You know,
Yeah, my whole thing is like I don't know, man. I just am so enamored by everything involved in hounds, and they are way more complicated than most people think. And there's so much more that goes into it all. Where you gruffle, crooked hat houndsman, like for you, you've been doing it so long, and like, you just do things. It's like I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's just like, oh, just normal everyday things, like
yeah,
building dog houses out of barrels for your dogs, or like building a dog box. It's just like a normal thing. For me, coming into this very green, like I don't know, it's just it's all these other. There's so many skills involved in all this stuff and like skills that are kind of getting lost in modern
there
society.
is.
So
There
I don't know.
is. And those animal activists don't help out a lot by
No.
kind of hammering down on us. And God, that's another rabbit hole as well. But when you got their 40-pound chihuahua that can't get off the couch, and they're mad
Yeah.
because we're out there running dogs. And I just seen a bunch of stuff on YouTube where they had a lion treat up, and all the comments were just, it's just crazy.
Yep.
And I just get on there and I simply say these animals won't survive without conservation, and that's what we do.
Yep.
But you can't talk to people,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a bullseye too when you're running around with dogs. I've had the cops call on me 100 times
Hmm.
because I'll go to Waterburger, pull under a tree, and I know how hot it is and if it's too hot or not. And I'll pull under a tree, and shoot, I had my old hound. She was laying in the front seat, and someone called the cops on me because it was hot outside. And cop showed up and was like, "Hey, man." I'm like, "Just another day for me, buddy." So
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah. All that stuff. That's why, like on the podcast, or last this episode, I get. Well, I'll cover. We'll cover a little news, but um, that's why I've been wanting to cover all these stories of like people getting attacked by lions and bears, and I want to just kind of expose. Bring that kind of stuff up more. Try to make it more like commonly known, because these animals are like hunters are an important part of the equation in keeping everything, you know, buttoned up,
yeah,
so to speak.
and it's not even the hunting part of it. As far as the reason these lions and these bears come into your house is because they're so comfortable now. And we talked a
Yeah.
little bit on Brett's podcast about that guy in Payson, but
All right.
there's a lot of people that feed the bears. They think it's cute, and it is. It's cool. I'm not gonna lie. It's
Yeah.
cool to have a bear come in and eat, but once a bear finds out you have food, he's gonna keep coming back. You know,
Oh
we
yeah,
had a lady,
definitely.
we had a lady killed in up where I live a few years back. she went out to take her trash out at night, and there was a bear in there. And if I remember right, her dog went after it. She tried to get her dog, and the bear they're
Jeez.
animals. Bears are
Yeah.
animals.
It's starting to happen here with the wolves here in Oregon now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they're it's down by Crater Lake, so southern central Oregon. There's a pack of wolves down there, and they've started just they have basically like there's a handful of them that just have no fear of humans now, and they're starting to hang out around these trailheads and campgrounds and stuff, and which like it's not good, and it's not good for the wolves either because
No.
friggin' human food is mostly poisonous. Like
Yeah.
all that we need to happen is he needs to eat one piece of xylitol gum. You know, xylitol is like poisonous to
Yeah.
dogs. You get one wolf eats a little piece of gum and he's dead. So, but then what? One of them actually died. He got hit by a car because he's just and like right close to this little campground area. He just got so used to coming around humans with no consequences at all. And
I can
yeah,
guarantee you they were throwing food out and taking pictures.
oh, absolute, of course. Throwing them
That's
hot
just,
dogs, who
that's
knows
just like
what.
Yellowstone and the bison.
Oh my
No
God.
matter how many times them people
Every
get
year.
attacked, they still get up there. It's crazy.
Yeah. You get these crowds of like, people coming into the US to go experience.
Yeah.
I'm sure like those shows like Yellowstone, those kind of shows, they get watched all over the world. So people come in,
Oh yeah.
look at these massive crowds of like European and Asian tourists that all they've known is their only exposure to wildlife is watching it on National Geographic
Or
or
zoo.
or at the zoo, and they just think
Mhm.
they think they're at a zoo. It's crazy.
Yep. And they'll keep doing it.
Yep, those keep doing it.
No matter how many YouTubes are put out, they'll keep doing it.
Yep.
Well, there was a podcast. It was I think it's Houndsman XP. There's one that's called Hand to Hand with the 400-pound bear. Did you listen to that one?
Oh, I saw that. I haven't watched that one yet or listened to it yet.
I think the guy was like running dogs, and the bear came out, and he chased it, or the wooden tree or something, and he was following it, and he went to pull the dogs off, and the bear, he was trying to get a picture of it,
Yeah.
getting his dogs off just because it was a big bear, and the bear like looked at him. He's like, God, he kind of made eye contact with me, but I was just trying to take a picture. So I'm like, his first thought was, I didn't get a picture. That bear charged.
Oh
That bear
God.
charged him, and like they fought. Like he shot him with a 10 millimeter 4 times, and he rolled back off a cliff. The bear came after him. He said he could feel the bear on his legs. Shot again.
Oh my
Like
God.
put the gun into the bear, pulled the trigger, and it clicked. But he said the
Oh
bear's
shit,
like
out of battery or something.
all you can think about is the bear ripping his face off like they always do.
Yeah.
And I guess he got one cocked in there and shot this bear. But he got like he tells his story for 15 minutes, and it's like a 20-second ordeal.
Wow.
So even
I
with
need to listen to
dogs,
that. Yeah.
well, his dogs are like the bear come at him, and those dogs start going crazy. So they're going at him, and he's getting
Right.
attacked. And there's sometimes
God.
I go to a tree just to see what it is, and I didn't grab my pistol.
Hmm.
I I had a Bowie knife one time, and I had a bear. It was archery season, and the guy had shot it with a bow, and it came out, and it grabbed one of my dogs. So that's all I had was my Bowie knife, and I pulled it off my pack, and I ran up just to get him in the heart. That old bear let go of my dog and turned around and came after me, and I turned around hoping someone would just shoot him if he gets hold of me, and everybody else took off running too. So
Oh
I was,
no.
what do they say? You don't have to be the fastest, or you don't have to be. What do they say? You don't have to be the fastest. You just don't have to be the slowest in the group. When you
Yeah,
get chased
you
by
got
a
to be
bear.
the second slowest at least. Yeah.
Mhm.
Crazy. Yeah, I've
So,
never been up close to a bear, but I was up close. I was like so I shot a bobcat out and it was not dead. and I ended up like 3 feet away from it, face to face,
Yeah.
and it freaking charged me. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I shot it,
I've
but
had more I've had more damage to my dogs by bobcats than bear lion.
oh really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. They're
They're
mean.
gnarly.
And where I chase them down here, it's full of mesquite, and
Okay.
it looks like, I mean, I'm usually scratched up, and I get it all the time. It's like, why don't you wear long sleeves? Why don't you wear your chaps? But I just never have, you know. But you go into some of that stuff, them bobcat, oh, they get in some stupid stuff. I've had one in
Yeah.
a cholla cactus, and one of my dogs jumped in and grabbed him out of the cholla, and his face was
Okay,
no. Who
what's the
cares about the
deal?
bobcat?
What's the deal with this cholla? I hear you talking about it all the time, and I've seen it on your videos, but I feel like it's one
It's
of
not
those things
even.
you have to experience it. I'm like, I don't fully get what the big deal is.
It's very. They call it jumping cactus
Uh huh.
because if one little needle hits you, it'll pull off the whole stem, and then it just rolls and barbs into you.
Huh.
If you see me pull on that video, that was the day I caught that lion when my dog shows up and had his ears, her ears were pinned up
Okay.
with that
Yeah.
Achoya attack. Because that lion, they're smart. And they get in the thickets of Choya and get back in there, and them dogs just get ate up
Really?
with it. It's just very brittle cactus. So if you throw a
Hmm.
rock at it, 20 will fall off of it,
Okay.
you know. And they're not even a native to Arizona, but they
Oh,
won't let, like the ranchers, they won't even let them guys burn them or bulldoze them or nothing.
weird.
They're horrible. They're horrible.
Do the spikes have like hooks in them or something or
They're barbed,
bar?
real
Yeah. Yeah.
tiny, kind of like a porcupine.
Okay.
Real thin. They're
Hmm.
just, no one likes choya.
Yeah, we have a
No
lot
one
of
likes.
thorny plants here, but we don't have any cholla, so I'm glad about that.
Oh, yeah, you don't want none either. I'll take cat claw all day, locust.
Yeah.
That a choya. You know, on one of those videos, and I had got sage from a guy, and he gave that mule I ride. Someone gave him to me for free,
Wow.
and it's kind of like, listen, you can have this mule, but don't ever sell it. If you're gonna sell it, just give it back.
Yeah. Right. Right.
You know, and we get along real well. And she's really, really spooky and really unpredictable, but she hasn't done nothing to me. And
Hmm.
she got that Achoya stuck in her, and I knew I was going to go for a bad ride, and she just sucked it up and let me pick it out. I
Well,
was
that's
like,
good. Nice.
yeah, very grateful that day. So,
Nice. All right.
yeah,
I want to tie this back to the dog box topic. So, what your signature, the Chris Watson signature touch on the dog box? Tell me about that.
the chain.
Yeah, the chain.
You know, one day I just, you tie stuff down in your pickup,
Yeah.
and even on a trailer, I do it on my trailers too. I got 4-inch chain links that I'll weld on my trailers. But these, I'm like, yeah, I hate not having tie downs.
Oh yeah.
So I had some chain. I'm like, I'm just gonna weld that chain around there, and I basically did it just on the front rig, so I could
Mm-hmm.
tie my rig chains on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I'm just gonna go all the way down. That way, I can either tie them all the way around, or if I need to tie stuff down. And I tell you what, that's the bet. Even if you had to buy chain, like I said,
Yeah.
you go scrapyard, and probably get it, but it's worth it. It's worth the money.
Okay, so what you're talking about for the listeners is basically you have your top rig rack or your rig rail, and then you just welded like what, like 1 inch chain,
Yeah, it's usually, yeah, it's just small chain. Same, just
and you
enough,
just you
the
just
big
like
enough chain.
welded it all along the top of the rail, and then that gives
Yep,
you tie down like a ton of
everywhere.
tie down points. It's nice because then you can go wherever you want. You're not limited to just like a couple eyelets.
Yeah, and you don't have to like tie down to the bottom of the box
Yeah,
or anywhere else. It's handy. It's really
yeah,
handy, and you can move your rigs around. You can put 10 dogs on top if you want, and not
right.
have to worry about drilling a hole or anything for your chain.
Yep.
Yep, weld that chain on top of your rig rack all the way around. you know.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
Yeah,
I might,
man. I was gonna say I love your videos. I like your videos where you're like working on your horse trailer. And
yep.
one of the first videos I watched from you, I don't even know how I found it. It was where you were making horse reins out of mule tape.
Oh, yeah,
I thought
yeah.
that was so cool.
That last, I have reins that I made 20 years ago
Uh-huh.
out of that mill tape. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just took some up there. I got off a job site. They pulled, oh gosh, like probably 1,000 feet of pipe, and they were pulling that mill tape out. And I said, "What are you gonna do with that?" And they're like, I'll just throw it away."
Hmm.
I said, "You just leave it right there, buddy. I'll take care of it." And I did. I rolled it all up
Nice.
nice,
That
five
mule
gallon
tape,
bucket.
that's like what? It's just like nylon
That's all it is.
something, but
They
it's
use it.
pretty strong, right? Doesn't it have like a really high breaking strength?
I've pulled trucks with it when I had
Really?
to.
Huh.
Yes. Yep.
Crazy.
If you braid, well, I braid 4 strands for
Mm.
my lead ropes, and I
Mm-hmm.
braid 3 strands for my reins. And
Okay.
I've never ever. You'll have your clasp or buckle break before that mill tape does.
Wow.
It's good stuff. Good
Nice.
stuff. So yeah,
Awesome, man.
that's a good thing about being a pack rat is
Yeah.
I take everything I can, put it in a pile, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, yeah,
So
man. I definitely I do that kind of stuff, but I don't have we don't, we don't have a very big property or anything. So I
mhm.
end up having to like twice a year I have to take a couple like a load to the dump of just all the stuff I've collected.
clear out clear
Yeah.
out spot for new stuff.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here, but yeah, everybody listening, you got to go check out Anecdote of a Houndsman, and I'll have links to all your stuff in the description.
Perfect.
Uh, any final words for the Hound on the Run listeners?
Hey, if you're gonna build a dog box, don't buy new material. Try to do as much scrap as you can. Obviously, you have to probably get some hinges, and I usually just go to Ace for the hinges,
Mm-hmm.
weldable hinges,
Yep.
or I buy these barrel hinges, little tiny barrel hinges, and they
Mm.
last forever. And then I have a spring-loaded. Um, when I do my video when I'm fixing my dog box again, I didn't really show that part building. I had 4 hours of video on that,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I had to really go through it and I
Right.
didn't. I actually showed me building the whole gate, but I didn't want to make it too long, so I'll probably put a picture of it in there. See if I can't find them somewhere. I go to a welding shop. If you guys
Okay.
go to a welding shop, just some steel place or welding shop, or
Yeah.
they'll usually have the barrel hinges and the any
Okay.
kind of latches you need, weldable latches.
Gotcha.
Yeah, don't
Cool.
plan it. Just start building it. Just
Nice.
start building it. That's all you can do.
See, I need to
So
learn. I don't know how to weld, so I need to. I really do want to learn how to weld, but I don't know. I don't know if I don't really have anywhere I could hook up a welder.
yeah,
So,
you do. Go to Harbor Freight. Do you guys got Harbor Freight over there?
oh yeah,
Oh, just go buy a cheap $100 Harbor Freight welder, wire
yeah,
welder.
really?
Yep, and then
Okay,
practice with that.
yeah,
Practice with that. They're not. They're the best for what you do
yeah,
because it's just going to be. I've built dog boxes with a Harbor Freight welder,
okay, huh,
so
cool,
I don't knock Harbor Freight stuff. I've had I've had chop saws that lasted 12 years out in the rain and snow from
yeah,
Chicago Electric,
yep, yep,
and no, that's probably the less expensive way you can go is go get a Harbor Freight
uh
and
huh.
just start welding stuff.
Is it pretty?
Just start welding.
Yeah, I'll have to look up some videos and stuff. I mean, it seems like this like kind of magical thing, like, but I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You're just heating up the
Well,
metal, right? I mean,
wire. I grew up with a what do they call them these days? What do we call it just a shock box, but
hmm,
it's just a little red arc weld. I grew up arc welding,
okay,
you know, and it's just a buzz box is what we call them.
hmm,
So if you grew up arc welding, with a stick welder, wires like piece of cake.
oh really? Okay,
So
hmm,
kind of like training dogs with a GPS rather than beep beep.
Oh, okay.
You know,
All right. I could follow.
I think they're only like $100, couple hundred,
Yeah.
maybe there might be more now, but and they got a 2-year warranty on them usually.
Cool.
So we go just
Well,
practice, just
I might have
weld
to
them
give you a
together.
call for some tips, but
Hey, I'm here. You got my number.
heck yeah. Awesome,
Yeah.
man. Oh yeah, I watched your economic collapse video yesterday. I thought you brought up some
You know,
good points.
I've got a lot of response off that. People
Really
commenting and getting
nice.
a hold of me about it because I
Yeah.
don't think a lot of people, you know, you, everybody's like, oh, have food, have food, have food.
Yeah.
But I have, I buy, like, I have buckets of baking powder.
Mm.
But you need to learn how to use flour, water, salt, and baking powder. You can make anything with flour, water, salt, and baking powder. You can make fry bread. You can make biscuits. You can make tortillas. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I always tell people to learn how to can, learn how to
Yep.
bottle stuff, because you can have all the rice and beans you want in life dried.
Mm-hmm.
You need fuel and water to cook those.
Right.
When you have a quart of beans already cooked and bottled,
Yep.
you can eat them right out of the can.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't
Yep.
even have to warm it up if you don't want to. You can just eat them out of the can.
Right.
And
Right.
my
Right.
big thing is bottle stew. You got
Okay.
your meats, your
Yep.
vegetables, your potatoes, starches. You know, so
Complete meal.
the complete meal. Do it, and it's all right here
Yep.
on your
Oh,
phone.
definitely.
You can
Yep.
literally do anything you want. So instead of watching girls' boobies bouncing around and playing video games, like take a little time and just learn how to do it.
Yep.
It's so easy these days. Canners in the old days used to have a valve, and it was like you had to watch the pressure. Now they got relief valves. Like
Right.
you put a 10-pound or 15-pound on it wherever you live, and
Mm-hmm.
but at least have a 30-day. At least have a 30-day.
Yeah,
You
I need
know,
to work on that. I don't have any of that stuff
food.
prepared, but
Yep.
no,
Yeah, and it
it's
don't take.
good stuff.
Go buy go buy go buy $50 of spaghettios. You
Oh
know what
yeah,
I mean?
sure.
Because your stomach, we've never Americans aren't hungry. We're not hungry
No,
people.
we're the opposite.
No,
Yeah.
we're spoiled. We're fat. We're whatever. But when you get hungry, you'll be like Bear Grylls and you'll pop that eyeball out of that sheep and you'll eat it.
Yep.
So so be prepared. I'd rather eat spaghettios than sheep eyeballs.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Or have to eat your dogs or something.
yeah. All righty, Nick.
All right, man. Well, thanks for joining me, and I will catch up with you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, anytime. See ya.
All right.